happy to have you in the booth, my little friend. A little rocket ship pen, you love it. That's right, if you come in to listen to Shelley Sweeney, you will get a rocket ship pen, and you will get a rocket ship pen, and you will get a rocket ship pen. And some coffee, tea, and snacks, everybody. So thanks to Xerox, our friends, our partners, our social media buds, although the big mama did not talk to me. She's going to talk to me on Sunday? Today's Sunday. Monday. Okay. Big mama, I love you out there. Everybody will know when the big mama talks to me because I go a little crazy when she does. Okay, so what can I say other than... Here, these are my 7 favorite words in print. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce, I'm elaborating, Shelley Sweeney, Xerox.
Thank you.
Actually, can I say one other thing?
Say one other thing.
Okay. Actually, I can't, but I will. Yeah, can I have the mic back for 1 second? Okay, I'm sorry. That's you. I'm really sorry. I just wanted to say one other thing. The case study cafes that we put on every day at the Printerverse are very important to us because they give our partners an opportunity to tell us about how their customers are having success with their equipment, but more so in the marketplace. And it stimulates ideas, it stimulates conversations, and quite frankly, there is never a time that you speak, Shelley, that I don't learn something from you and that I'm not inspired by you. So really, pay attention to what this woman has to say and apply it however you're going to apply it. But she's awesome. Thank you.
Hello. Goodness gracious. Okay, so now you can all hear me. Hopefully I won't have too much of the reverb. Well, welcome to lovely Orlando. I am really pleased to be here with you just for about the next 30 minutes and share with you probably one of my favorite topics, and that is personalization and relevancy. And truly, probably the most exciting part about it is that I'm going to share with you 2 customer case studies. There'll be names and brands that you know, and really truly demonstrate the power of personalization and relevancy and the significant business impacts that those have garnered for them. We're going to start first and look a little bit at some trends taking place. And when I say personalization and relevancy, it truly is the overall communication space. So that includes the transaction space and the direct mail, direct marketing space. If you look at what's happened in the last several years, we certainly saw a big change in the marketing dollars that were spent and the landscape of that marketing dollars in 2008, 2009. And you can see it's a definite trajectory that more money is spent in direct marketing than it is in any other traditional advertising space or direct mail space. That's big because that's good news for all of us in this business that are in this print for pay. But probably more importantly, is that the return on the marketing investment is significantly better for direct mail than it is for all of the other traditional types, including social media, including email. For every dollar spent, about $15 comes back to them in marketing revenue. So tremendously powerful, really great results, and certainly delivers on what it's purported doing. But there's a heck of a lot of talk about all the social media. I know a lot of people are active on it. And there's all of this talk about everything new, and are you doing email marketing? Are you doing social media? Are you doing personal URLs? Are you doing cross-media? The reality is that what drives personalization and relevancy, and more importantly revenue, is data. It's not all of the wonderful new things. Do I think those things are important? Absolutely. Are things more effective when you have more channels than just print? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, what's driving that and what's really having the impact is the use of data. So you can have great complex programs, but if your data's not good, if you're not using relevant content, they're not going to drive as much results. We are challenged every day. On a daily basis, we are bombarded with about 3,000 marketing pieces coming at us. yet we only remember 4. So how can you get your message to stand out in this sea of 3,000? And oh, by the way, that number is increasing almost daily between all of our emails, all of the text messages, things we get on all the social media. So it's continuing to grow and continuing to be more of a challenge to really get your message to stand out. So how big is this space that we're in, this communication space? The good news is that it's large. If you look even at the transaction space, about 90 billion images, right? So it's very, very large. It's also growing, and direct mail continues to grow. It's actually growing at about a low double digit right now in direct mail. But the other key important thing, and this was just found out in a study that was just completed, is that 74% of marketers want to do more personalization and relevancy in their pieces. So it's away from where we were with spray and pray back to much more of a one-on-one conversation. Good news for all of us. And the reason why they want to do that is quite simply it works, right? If you look at the response rate for direct mail versus email versus any others, direct mail actually outperforms by 600%. So direct mail is good and it's effective, and again, it's growing. So how do you take advantage of this? Well, one of the biggest challenges I mentioned was data, right? It is all about the data. And in fact, when marketers were asked about the data, you can see that 44% of them want to aggregate data together, but they also need help. They think it's a very, very difficult task. It is a difficult task, right? Data is only as good as how clean it is, whether you aggregate multiple sources together. So it is a challenge. Where they need help is you can see that 39% of marketers need help with analytics. So that's where you and your resources come into play to really be more effective using this data in a very, very personal and relevant way. So let's take a look at the 2 case studies I mentioned. I think you all probably know New York Mets, obviously a Major League Baseball team. Go Mets! They have had some great, phenomenal seasons, some great years. They've had a lot of challenges. So it's always a difficult task to fill stadiums and fill seats. But in 2009, they did a major move to a new field, spent a lot of money, bought in a lot of very, very highly paid players. And of course, the goal of any Major League Baseball team is to win, right? They want to win. They want to have people in the seats. They have about 81 games per season, right? So they're a very, very defined bit of information. And the other thing is that they knew that one of their most important and loyal people that attend are groups. So if you are a group of church leaders, if you are a group of Boy Scouts, if you are a group of baseball players, Little League, they wanted to use personalization and relevancy and have you come back to the stadium. So using a very, very small amount of data, the person that had booked the tickets in the past, where they were located, what seats you had done, how much money you had spent, they did a very personal and relevant campaign out, again, to incent those group leaders to purchase again. And by the way, not just purchase again, but purchase more tickets, purchase better tickets in a better location, and spend more money. So this is what the self-mailer looked like. It was printed, of course, on Xerox digital printing. It was done on the iGen. The front of it uses a very, very easy and simple thing, which is kind of the power of me marketing. The first and the last name of the person that had purchased those group ticket sales. So you can see Tony is on the front, the jersey on the back, you see Schottenhammer on the back of that. That works. That simple power of me marketing is really, really successful. Super easy to do, right? It's one of the easiest ways you can go down in data. So that's on the front of it. Inside, what you see down the bottom, everything inside of that is personal and relevant. So again, when did they go? What seats did they have? How much money did they spend? We'll look at it a little bit further so you can see again the back of the jersey, the New York Mets jersey. The content, all of the text, is based on what type of group they were. The images, actually the wonderful thing about any sporting event in the United States is that there are photographers there every single day taking pictures of the field of the game. So they had this wonderful resource of images that they were able to pull from and do a very personal campaign out. So in this case, you can see it was a group of business leaders. You can see the gentleman over on the side. If they had actual images from that day, So for instance, in the stadium, they say, welcome Boeing, so glad to have you here. That was actually used in their images. They were all tagged appropriately and used. So everything on there is personal and relevant, again, based on what type of group they were and how much they had spent. This was their results. They were significant. They had an 80% increase in group ticket sales year over year, right? Season over season, just by using that simple bit of personalization and relevancy. But probably most important is that their revenue increased by 41%. They were upselling them. I said, this was your seats before. We're now going to put you into a box. By the way, we have this wonderful new food package. So their revenue increased by 41% and an 80% increase in year over year improvement. Not a lot of personalization, really, really quite simple, but delivering significantly powerful results. The next case study is a university, Miami University. Anybody attend Miami? Did you really, two of you? Oh, wonderful. Phenomenal university, right? Oxford, Ohio. It is a beautiful, spectacular campus. And they are a public university, but they were challenged, like most universities, to go after the real high-achieving children. Like yourselves, right, when you were on your way going into college. They wanted those honor students. It's about a 15,000 campus, a number of undergraduates, so it's not a very, very large one, but they really wanted to go after those highly selective, highly sought after students. And by the way, the profile of those students is quite spectacular, right? They are in the top 7 to 8% of their graduating class. They are having at least a 31 on their ACT. They are really, really the high achievers. The value in getting these people in, does anybody have any idea why you want these honor students? Any thoughts? Absolutely. Every single university keeps track of what percentage of honor students they have. Thank you. Secondly, and I think you said, Perfect. They graduate. They normally graduate in 4 years. They become active alumni. Big thing with the university, right, is having alumni give money, right? So they become active alumni. They get good jobs. And in fact, a lot of them then go back and even do counseling and mentoring for students at the university, right? So they wanted this same group. But by the way, that group of honor students is also wanted by just about every other university, right? So it's a very, very, very aggressive to get these select students. They have some wonderful things about the university, as you two both know. Small class size, beautiful campus, really, really involved, phenomenal teachers, professors always are on the top lists of most after schools. And they wanted to do a couple things. One, certainly they wanted to increase the number of honor students. They also wanted to test what this group of students, what millennials, what do they like? Do they want print? Do they want print plus email? Do they want social media? So they wanted to do a very integrated campaign that used not just print, but a variety of other sources as well. Simple bit of information. Had you had contact with Miami University, had you been on the campus, if you had had contact with the university, you were a prospect. If you did not, you were a suspect. If you'd been on the university, they knew that about you, they treated you differently, and I'll show you in just a moment. And one of the biggest things they wanted to do was to get them to come into the university, because once, it's kind of like driving a car, or buying a car, right? Once you test drive that car, you like the feel of it, you have a higher propensity to purchase, right? So they want, once you walk onto once you walk onto Miami University in Oxford, it is a beautiful campus. You get a great feel. You see the students. They knew that more university students would go if they got them onto campus on one of their open house days. The other thing that they used, two other pieces of information, is they used your gender. Were you male or female? Quite simple. And then finally, what were you intending on studying? So if you wanted to study science, if you were going to be studying engineering, they would use that in this personal campaign. This is the self-mailer that went out. I said it was a multitude of different touch points. I'll take you through 3 of them. The self-mailer, what you see over on the left-hand side, that's the front cover. This particular person wanted to study in theology, so it's looking at the thinker. Inside, the imagery that's used is actual imagery from Miami University. So if they had images of the children that were there, of the students that were there, and then everything in it here is personal and relevant. So I said they knew whether you were a male or a female. So in this particular case, this is going to a male, and you can see the images of the 2 girls down the bottom, which are actual Miami University students. Likewise, if you were female, you got images of male. Just like the power of me, you know, that your name and your name on a piece, this works very, very well. These images that will attract certainly the right people. What you also got was a personal email. So this is the second part of the campaign, right? So they wanted to test this email. Does that work with high school juniors and seniors? The email was personal and relevant to you. If you had been on campus, that was indicated. Again, information, this particular person was majoring in chemistry or wanting to major in chemistry. Real simple, apply now, takes you directly into your own personal website. This is the personal URL that was done. Again, every bit of information that we had about them was used in it. If you had been on campus and you had had a tour guide, that image that you see in black would have been the tour guide that took you around the university. A tour guide is really, really important when you are on campus. They have the best and most vivacious people doing it. It really is an important person. So that was there. Again, everything was relevant. So this particular person wanted to study art history, so you see that there. We also, at the Pearl, wanted to fine-tune and do some tests, right? So I encourage when I'm working with clients, if you want to gather more information or you want to do more than one piece, get information about how they want to be communicated and keep it real, real simple. So in this case, we wanted to take it another depth with more information just than their gender or their intended area of study. We wanted to know how they wanted to communicate in the future. Do you want to print? Do you want email? Do you want text messaging? And we also want to know what's their ideal night out. Do you want to go to the library? Do you want to, like to go out clubbing? Depending on your age. So it was, again, to continue and have an interactive conversation. We did 7 questions here. I encourage most clients, if you're going to ask questions at a Pearl or you're going to do some sort of survey, 3 to 4 questions is about it. And by the way, if you're telling them to click forward, they're not going to click forward, right? So you got to keep it really, really simple. And again, it's gathering information so you can have an interactive and more engaged conversation. This was the test groups. I mentioned at the beginning that if they had no contact at all, they were a suspect. If they'd had contact, they were a prospect. So we wanted to ensure that we were doing true A/B testing. So the original way, which was done in the past, the new personal relevant way, and really, really to be able to gather a very good test. You can see that the suspects group was about 40,000 and the prospects was 6,500. I mentioned at the beginning that this is about, we were trying to go after, it's 1,500 students at the university, and we wanted to at least get about 10% of them in the honors program. So this was the results. Again, very similar to what I shared before, absolutely spectacular. We increased the number of honors applications by 4%. We reduced the total number of touches because actually the first pieces were so much more effective and successful that we didn't have to send follow-up. I don't know whether any of you have any kids that are looking at universities or have gone recently. The volume of mail you get, it's wonderful for all of us, right? Because it's a lot of great print pieces, but the volume is so large. And normally you are getting anywhere between 6 and 8 different touches from each university that's going after your students. So reduce that, increase the number of visits to the Scholar Saturdays, which were their open house events, by 32%. Again, really, really effective. Lots of great hits onto their website, people going through their personal URL. But what do you think is the most important thing to Miami University? Right? What was their goal? Increase the number of honor students. So their most important thing was how many honor students actually did. Student enrollment goal was overachieved by 31.3%. They actually had a problem, right? They now had so many honor students coming in that those poor, ones that weren't honor students may not have been extended an offer. But truly, absolutely amazing results, 31.3% improvement. And the interesting thing is, and again, this is, the age that we all think they want social media, they want text messaging. We asked them how they wanted to be communicated in the future. 67% said they wanted to be communicated within print. Right now, interestingly, if you think about it, this is a major decision, and getting an acceptance that is not a printed acceptance. If you get just a little email that says congratulations, you got into Miami. Obviously not as successful as a printed package, but 67%, and that's been validated. There's been a lot of great research done just recently on millennials, and around 60 to 70% always want to continue to have that print piece. So when you're evaluating your marketing, when you're looking at what you're doing or working with clients, it's extremely important to not turn print off, right? We know print delivers, we know DM delivers, and you can see it here. So what do I think is cool and happening next? We'll look at it in 3. Certainly for customers, I mentioned before that 67% of marketers want to do more personalization and relevancy. That is continuing to grow. People are tasked with doing more with less. So the use of data, the use of personalization and relevancy delivers. The power of what you see now, and you'll see it on the floor with inkjet and where we've gone with data management, it's now opened up new spaces that you may not have thought of in the past. So we are showing some really, really amazing personalized catalog covers that are done and tremendous business results. The quality's there. Be happy to have conversations with you about it. As far as print, I mentioned the inkjet space. It is blown up and so successful, right? The quality is great, the price is great. It's transformed the bill and statement printing industry amazingly. It's transforming the direct mail space, and now, as I said, catalogs and other places. Truly spectacular. And for printers, there's a variety of things, whether it's, looking at doing cross-media, whether it's looking at bringing in, improving your workflow, going to a white paper factory. It's a tremendous time right now. I'm really, really excited in the industry. So again, I encourage you to look, certainly while you're here at Graph Expo, but to continue the conversation. But remember, the most important thing is data, right? It's only as good, you're only as good as the data you use and the success you have with it. I've got a couple of pieces here that I brought. I'd love to have you come over to the booth and I'll take you through more. Xerox has done 7 segment series. They're all listed on the back, and these are quite really, really helpful. They were meant to help clients that maybe not in a specific place, like maybe you're in transactional marketing but you're not doing direct mail yet, and take you through what the opportunity is. In the centerfold of each, it goes through the trends, what's going on in the industry. Centerfold gives you a lot of amazing stats. And then probably just as importantly, it illustrates 2 customers in each one of these, how they've taken advantage of whether it's transactional marketing, direct mail, or catalogs. Really great, just real simple reads that give you a lot of great data. And then again, the case studies that are reinforcing the message. So that's it for me for now. I'd love to take questions. Very good. So the question was, marketers want to know how important it is to benchmark their campaigns. You are only as good as what you can measure and what you can report, right? So if you go in and you don't do an A/B test, or you change not just data, but you change multiple elements on it. If you think about a DM piece, you can have probably 8 or 9 different factors, right? You can drop the mail at you can drop mail time be a different time. You can add in different offers. You can change color. You can change font. All of these wonderful things that we can do. The reality is, I encourage you to only do one thing, right? So just use data. If you're going to use personalization and relevancy, just use data. Don't change all of the other elements you can, and by all means do an A/B test. Offer to do one for your clients, right? Prove the effectivity of it. Does a couple of things. One, it really does benchmark and give you this was before, this is the after. It also puts you in a very, very strategically relevant relationship with your client, right? You're now not just the print provider, you are now the marketing services. You're doing closed loop tracking for you. And by the way, it's probably going to give you even more revenue because you're now doing a service for them, right? So you are doing that proving of before and after. So really important to benchmark, and again, you're only as good as what you can measure and what you can report. Yes?
We have some questions.
Yes.
First, how can printers show their customers what's actually possible, all the different points of personalization that's possible? And second of all, how do they reach that data conversation with their customers? And should they be managing that data, printers themselves?
Right, so 2 questions. The first was, how can you show the power of what you can do? There is a variety. Xerox.com, we've got a variety of different applications that you can use. You can tweak them. We will give you source files so you can easily create your own. So prior to going in with a client, my recommendation is always to look at what you're currently doing, go in with something mocked up so you can show them. And oh, by the way, probably the first place they're going to look as you start having this conversation is your own website and your own marketing pieces. So, right, so you've got to make sure that those are good before you have that data conversation. And then, again, go in, show them this is what we can do, this is simple to do, mock up something. A printed piece in front of someone has a much more successful hit rate than just the concept of what you want to do, right? And the other thing I like to do with it is bring a case study or tell a story, tell a case study. I don't know whether you guys are members at all of PODI, but there's a variety of different sources for wonderful case studies. Xerox has got a large number of them on our Xerox.com website. So go in there with a similar story. It doesn't even have to be the same industry, but the same kind of thing. What were they trying to do? They were trying to drive more students to go to Miami University. Know what they want to do and then use that same kind of approach. And the final question was data. And what was your question on data?
Should printers be managing the data, and how do they have those conversations with their customers about the data they need to drive these projects?
So if you remember back when I talked about what marketers are looking for, 67% of them need help managing data. Data is very, very difficult, and in most cases, the more successful campaigns are not only using one data source, they're using 3 data sources, normally 2 to 3 data sources. So yes, it's extraordinarily important to manage that data. You can be that source that can aggregate the data together, whether it's your customer database and your billing database and your marketing database or any other one you purchase. So aggregating those together, managing that data for them. If you don't have the expertise, let's say you are a traditional commercial printer and you may not have a real depth of breadth like a billing and statement provider, partner with someone. There are wonderful data companies that will work with you under your direction, under your umbrella, to really use data very, very effectively. Any other questions? No? Any questions online?
Yeah,
oh, sorry.
We have another one.
Okay.
It's an omni-channel marketing question about how do you tie together personalization, email marketing, and any other digital marketing. How should those all work together?
Great. All right. So the challenge with omni-channel, what a lot of people do, is they think that they create that print piece and they take that exact same print piece and they put it in the email and they put it up on their personal URL and it looks the same everywhere. My guidance would be that you don't just replicate that same piece into 3 different places. We remember from Miami University, they all looked very, very different. Optimized for the technology, but probably more importantly, getting additional information. If you are just taking that same print piece and putting it onto all the channels, you are not going to have as much success as you would when you truly are asking more questions, continuing to make the conversation more relevant. That's where the power is. Anything else?
Yes. How can people get in touch, learn more, connect with you, go to your webinars? Tell us everything, how we can get in touch with you, where you're speaking next, anything like that.
Where am I speaking next? Wow, I have to think about that. Shelley Sweeney at Xerox.com. Shelley, EY, and Sweeney, EY. Shelley.Sweeney at Xerox.com. I am on social media. I'm at Shelley Sweeney. Goodness gracious. LinkedIn, absolutely. Love LinkedIn. Happy to connect with you that way. I can't think of where I'm speaking next. My brain is not participating.
Let's mention the Xerox sites too.
Yes, and www.xerox.com. I mentioned those segment series. All of those are up on Xerox.com. You can look at the ebooks of those and certainly download. And again, case studies, a lot more information. So thank you.
At Xerox Productions.
Oh, sorry. And at Xerox Production for the other Twitter. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shelley.